That we must want for all of our children. And so I just want to advocate that middle-income families are not choosing between reading and art. They're not choosing between their kids having a good athletic experience and studying math after school. They're finding ways to do both, and all I want to advocate for is that all of our children, regardless of their family background, income, circumstance, race, whatever, that they have access to equal opportunities to learn, to extend learning. And that's what the social capital is about. If you are mentored and supported by big brothers or big sisters or with your coach after school, if you get these other nurturing environments, your social capital is going to increase. Conversely, I think the research shows that students, particularly those in poverty, without that added social capital, have little or no chance to be successful, especially if the quality of teaching is not exemplary.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so very much, Dr. Johnson. Alice said that we allowed you to go over, so I'll try to stick closer. Attorney David Pickler, my friend, would you move over to where the presenters are? I'm going to ask that you probably present from the mic that's right here, okay? And then go back there.
7-minute warning.
Yeah, no, I want a 3-minute warning. And then go back to the table after you have presented, so that the task force will have an opportunity to ask you questions. I want to recognize one of my coalition partners and a great friend, Gina Poo-Poo Walker, who is head of our Education Equity Alliance in Tennessee, and that's a group of a lot of different kind of looking and acting folks that are together because we think equity in education is important in Tennessee. Thank you, Gina, for coming down from Nashville. At this time, I'm going to start to present, and maybe I'll present. No, I'll just do one at a time. Ms. Maya Bug is CEO of Tennessee Charter Center, and by the way, you've got a great website, and I like the stuff you got on your website. Her bio is in your program, so I've been told that you don't read to people what they have probably already read themselves. It's like reading an obituary at a funeral. You know, by that time everybody's already read it. But she has worked with the U.S. Department of Education as a policy consultant. She comes well equipped, and she's doing a great job at the center. So Maya, you're on.
Ma'am, is it okay if we present from this table?
It is. It is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
ma'am.
and it's task force, so they would like that. So that's fine. Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Maya Bug, and I'm the CEO of the Tennessee Charter School Center. I want to thank the delegation for inviting us here tonight to present information on the impact that public charter schools are having here in Tennessee and share a bit about the landscape. So before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about what the Tennessee Charter School Center does. We are Tennessee's primary charter support organization. And what that means is that we are advocating for effective policies on behalf of public charter schools. We want to ensure that there's a positive and healthy public school landscape here in Tennessee so that these public schools are able to continue to serve families across the state. We also educate and share information with communities about school options. The Tennessee Charter School Center provides programmatic support to charter schools and their leaders to help improve and/or maintain quality. And we also foster innovation through various initiatives such as our community launch and our MEMPHIS Innovation Challenge Fellowship. We're not just advocating for charter school students, though. We believe that all students in Tennessee deserve the opportunity and access to high-quality education. Public schools are simply an important component of the district's overall strategy to improve educational outcomes for all of its students. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the landscape, give an overview. I'll touch a bit on the structure of the approval process, touch on governance, and also accountability. Some of my colleagues later on in other presentations, they will discuss charter school funding, community impact, the ASD, and so you can reserve those questions for those presentations, but I'll give a general overview of the landscape and some of the critical foundational information for us here. Here are some things I want you to know about charter schools in Tennessee. They are public schools, they are tuition-free, they are funded by public dollars, but they are accountable for the same academic standards. They take the same state tests and assessments. They are required to report this information to the state and the districts. They are held accountable to those same standards. Something that was brought up earlier is around the nonprofit versus for-profit. It is illegal to have a for-profit charter school in Tennessee. That is something that's very important to us. We are doing very well with our nonprofit schools, and we continue to move forward in that way. Something else that's important here is that our charter schools are open and welcoming of all students, regardless of socioeconomic background, English language ability, special education needs, and in fact, charter schools in Tennessee serve a similar percentage of students in those populations as do the traditional schools. Something also of note is that most of the charter schools in Tennessee are authorized by the local districts. So the local elected school boards have elected to approve these schools here in Tennessee, most of them. Also, I want you to know that many of the charter schools here are making a difference. We have the retention rate. People talk a lot about our charter schools kicking kids out. The retention rates are about the same as they are in traditional schools. So what that means, our students are staying in charter schools at about the same rate as they are at traditional schools. We have about a 97% attendance rate for high schools in our public charter schools, and we have a 89% graduation rate, which is very high. All right, a bit more about the landscape. There are 107 charter schools in Tennessee. They're located in our 4 metro areas, primarily Memphis, Nashville, Chattanooga, and Knoxville. It equals about 5% of the total population of students here in Tennessee. In Memphis and Nashville, though, it covers about 7 to 10% of the student population. Those are our biggest areas and concentrations of charter schools. So out of about 1 million students in Tennessee, only about 30,000 of them attend public charter schools. So I just mentioned that because it's important to know there's not this unabated growth that has been mentioned. Tennessee has been very thoughtful about monitoring its growth and having a steady growth throughout these years. Despite the small number of students that are served by charter schools, the public charter schools are doing well. Tennessee recognizes the top 5% of schools for performance and the top 5% of schools for progress. They call them state reward schools. In Memphis, 20% of their state reward schools were public charter schools. And in Nashville, 42% of their state reward schools were public charter schools. And thinking through the TVAS, the Tennessee Value Added Measure, 46% of Tennessee charter schools achieved a level 5 rating. Additional 7% achieved a level 4. And that's just talking about the measure of the impact schools and teachers are having on their students' academic growth and progress. So in general, excuse me, families are really leveraging these schools to change life trajectories. We got Soulsville Charter, 100% college acceptance. Memphis School of Excellence, Power Center Academy, 100% graduation rate. Memphis Business Academy, 8th graders are learning robotics. Let's look really quickly at the application process. The districts have been very thoughtful about how they approve these applications. It's over 200 pages, takes about a year, almost a year and a half to get approved for a charter school, and you have to do quite a bit of explanation and proving that you have the capacity to run these schools and do what you say you're going to do. Governance, this is always a big topic of discussion. If you look at that graphic there, you can see that public charter schools are held to the same governance models as traditional schools, but we've added an extra layer, and that's the community board. That's the community governance board. And what that is a group of community members that are engaged local members, different professions, including parents. That's a requirement. And they serve as the safety net for the school. The school administration refers to this group to give them guidance on what to do with the school and those families. And quickly, accountability. Schools are required to have audits, they're required to report on academic achievement, financial management, and organizational stability. Every year, report this information to districts and to the state. And I think I have 20 seconds left. Super key here, as I wrap up, I want to reiterate something that's been very important to our work. That is, when it comes to effectively managing and supporting our public schools, it all comes down to collaboration between the district, its public charter schools, and its families. It's in the best interest of all stakeholders to work collaboratively, candidly, and thoughtfully to make sure we're having the appropriate and productive discussions and meeting regularly to make sure we're moving in the right direction. The Memphis Charter Compact is a prime example of this mindset. 12 committee members got together and they approved recommendations around how the district and its charter should interact. So in closing, I'll say this is just as much about options as it's about opportunities. Charter schools are not a silver bullet, nor are they the only solution needed. But at a time when districts must leverage all resources to dramatically increase the number of high-quality seats, now is just not the time to limit or discourage the growth of a model that is showing promising results.
Thank you, Maya. Give her a round
Thank
of
you.
applause. Does the panel have questions for Ms.
I
Book?
do.
All right. Dr.
You talked about where these schools are located. I'm not from Tennessee, but it seems to me that you are only in African Americans or poor districts. What happened to the other districts? Do they have the needs?
Good question. Actually, Tennessee legislation prohibited charter schools from going into other communities up until about 2011. So by